But Jordan is on that GOAT status. It's
yeah.
few in between. It's not me. He up there. He's with me and Joe had a discussion there. You ain't hear it, but we was talking about Tom Brady, and I'm glad that you mentioned this because this was a heated discussion we had about a month ago, and he's like, we was talking about Patrick Mahomes, and I'm like, and I had a couple viewers that commented on it as well, and they felt the same way as I did. I'm like, listen, it's Tom Brady, then it's the rest of the crew. Joe felt like, well, no, Tom Brady ain't as. I mean, Tom Brady is the GOAT, but Patrick Mahomes is close. You still got players like you. You named Dan Marino. You ain't even named John Elway. But I'm like, Tom Brady got 7 rings, and I'm not even talking about just the rings.
Yes,
Joe,
you are.
no, Tom Brady is the only quarterback out of everybody that we named to have a team go 18-0. We can't act like Tom Brady didn't break the record in touchdowns with 50 touchdowns. We can't act like Tom Brady wasn't throwing. I don't know how many yards he threw for in Tampa Bay. I only focus on the rings, but we can talk. Tom Brady broke the record in Super Bowl. How many passing yards he had in the Super Bowl and they lost? Like, it's a lot of things I can mention in regards to why Tom Brady is the GOAT, but it's easy just to say the rings because it ain't even close. So that's why I say, why are we talking about, and then we was talking about head to head. I said Patrick Mahomes would never be over Tom Brady because when they was in the Super Bowl against each other, he got beat down. And you say, okay, it's a team sport. Understood. So let's say Patrick Mahomes tie Tom Brady, which means he need to win 4 more Super Bowls. Then it's head to head for me.
I'm gonna say this, man, because when it comes to when we bring up the greatest of all time with any sport, when it's a team sport, I do not like including rings, man. That does not play a factor because if we go to basketball, man, you got I'm losing man, just slip my
Bill Russell got a lot of rings.
Yeah, we cannot bring rings into a team sport because Tom Brady win the rings by himself. And don't get me wrong, it is a big, I ain't gonna say a big push, but he is a lot that he put in with any champion that the quarterback puts in to get the ring. I get that, but we can't. I don't like saying like even with Jordan ain't win the ring by himself. I don't like when people don't mention everybody else. So it's a real thin and gray area when you add rings into it.
That's all I'm saying.
But you got to add in skill, man. You got some players that got skill, and I think that's when, like, modern day now, people be saying that Patrick Mahomes is the greatest.
No, and that's what, and it can be agreed upon right now. Yeah. Right now. But when we talking about the greatest of all time, you got to talk about what happened when at the biggest stages. At the biggest stages.
Right. Vaughn, again, you're absolutely correct, Vaughn. However, this is the same thing that's got to be breaking down in the stages. Because, I mean, skill set, are we talking about the greatest all-time skill set, the way you throw the ball? Or are we talking about rings? So rings is always going to be, if you and I are talking about the greatest overall quarterback in history, our number one, me, you, and Darren, our number one box is going to be rings. But there are other boxes. And to your point, you made a great point just then. The 50 touchdowns, the stats over time, that comes with longevity and everything. So yes, but there are other boxes. That's all I was trying to tell you. There are other boxes. Making guys better, arm strength, all those type of things are into what makes you marketability the all-time great. That's all.
Do somebody want to come play with you? If players don't want to come play with you, then it's going to be hard to win a ring anyway. My whole thing is this. Everybody, and I can't say everybody because these kids is different now.
Right.
But when I was growing up, when you played sports, you played to win. I don't care if we won by 1 game. 1 point. I don't care if we won by 30 points. The object of any sport that we play is to win and to be a champion. That means you want to go to the championship, you want to win the championship. It's not to be in 6th place and get a trophy for participation. It's not to come close and not win. Now, that happens. That's a part of the sport, and that's why sports is so great, because in life, you're going to lose sometimes, and it's about the lessons learned. But we cannot compare champions and those that was champions time and time and time and time again with those that just was great skilled players. I don't think it's as much of a comparison because I put championships and winning that high up on the ranking. That's all.
I see what you're saying, but it's like when it comes to team sports, man, we got to be real careful with bringing these rings into it because these greatest quarterbacks ain't earned these rings by themselves. You know, this ain't like track and field.
Well, nobody earned nothing by themselves, but at the same time, they was the leader. If you led your team to a championship, and that's why I can understand. I was never saying Brady was the greatest of all time when we won the first 3 rings.
Yeah, but he was the leaders. They ain't leading by themselves. They getting word in their heads there for somebody else.
No, I'm saying even when I say leaders, I'm talking about you in the huddle. You got boys that's willing to do whatever for you. They not calling the plays or whatever the case may be. But my point is, we cannot discredit because if Brady only won 3 Super Bowls, I'm not saying he the greatest of all time because he still had more to go to beat Montana. But then when you get to 7, that's a large gap. It's a large gap. We not saying he throw the best spiral ever.
That's only saying though, Vaughn. That's only saying your number one criteria is rings.
Yeah, because I think rings weigh more than a lot.
I don't because like I said, I'm not discrediting quarterbacks or anybody in team sports with the rings or not having the rings. I'm not discrediting. I'm saying when we talk about greatest, I just say we need to be real careful with just saying, okay, who got the most rings? Because it's just an unfair advantage when you say who got the most rings.
And I agree. I agree with that, but I don't just say who got the most rings. When I say Tom Brady, people only think of the rings and they discredit everything he did in the long. Again, name another quarterback that went 18-0. I don't even talk about that Super Bowl because it pissed me off. Dan Marino went 18-0 when?
No, I'm saying,
he wasn't there.
The Miami Dolphins, another quarterback, but again.
Yeah, but I'm saying.
Look, I'm not talking about you specifically. I'm just talking about in general when people have these conversations, and that's why when I speak about the greatest, I'm like I don't really like to bring up the rings. I always use, for example, Shaq and
Kobe.
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley. Okay.
Charles Barkley. When they get to arguing about some stats, Shaq always shut Charles Barkley up because he always said, "How many rings you got, Chuck?" You know what I'm saying? It's not, and that's exactly what everybody do when they talk about the greatest and they want to bring in how many rings a particular person that we're talking about has. That's an unfair advantage to the people who may or may not be better than them, but they don't have the rings. There's plenty of people whose skill set is definitely probably better than Tom Brady. I'm not saying that because I can't point none out, but I'm saying if you compare 2 people, one may actually skill set may be better and be greater, considered to be greater of all time, but we'll throw around and say, well, they didn't got the rings to back it up. Well, I couldn't get the rings with the team I had.
But that it's not even just with the team that you had. That just show, again, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's like saying J.R. Smith, because I think Shaq and Charles Barkley is a bad comparison because Shaq was a better player than Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley was a dog and still great. But Shaq is one of the greatest players we got never seen. Like, I think folks get that construed like Shaq wasn't Shaq. Couldn't nobody do nothing with Shaq. But if J.R. Smith said something, if J.R. Smith told Chuck, I got 2 rings, then that I understand what you're saying, Darren. Like, yeah, it's not but we cannot compare when we talking about the greatest of all time and Shaq say, I got 4 of them. People just look at the rings and say, cut on that film. Cut on what he was doing in the finals with Kobe.
I thought about something. I would say this. I think to be in the topic, I think it may be fair, a good argument. I'm not going to use the argument, but I think if somebody would say the fact of having at least 1 ring would make sense of being the greatest. The number of rings I don't think really would matter in certain circumstances. Because I always say I was a big Tom Brady fan, and I always said he would have to leave the Patriots and go somewhere else with a different team and get a ring. He did that. For me, that's one of the reasons why I think he's one of the greatest. Is because of that feat that he did there. It was going somewhere completely different. First year got a ring. That was impressive to me. That was
new head coach. Like, again, everything that they said that he couldn't do, he did it.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
it's
so
no comparison with Tom Brady in the field.
yeah, but I still think the debate for
Why?
college greatest.
Okay, why you say that though, Vaughn?
Darren just gave you another point that I didn't even mention. When he
What?
left, because before everybody was saying it was, oh well, this is Belichick's system, the Patriot way, this and that. He go to a whole nother franchise and get him a Super Bowl.
Yeah, because I don't discredit anybody else, and I give credit. Yes, he's a great, but what's wrong with Joe Montana's resume? 4
Nothing
Super
wrong with Joe.
Bowls,
Nothing wrong with Joe.
three-time Super Bowl MVP. Never threw an interception in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl at all. So the fact that he doesn't make 7, that Tom Brady is automatically the GOAT better than him.
Well, if he made 10, if he
and in an era, Vaughn, that's what I'm saying, Vaughn. That's why I like criterias, because Joe Montana was in a running era. Tom Brady was in a passing era, so his numbers are going to be skewed. Joe Montana, I don't even think has 300 total touchdown passes, and Tom Brady has 500. So is that a equal, discussion about the guys quarterback wise? That's all I'm saying. And you're absolutely right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but there's so many things that go into it. So a guy with 4 championships, Super Bowls, to a guy that's 7. That's the bottom line in Vaughn's mind. That's what makes him the great, and nobody can do anything about it.
How
Because
many
remember
Super
what you
Bowl
said though.
appearances
Hold
do
on,
he
Vaughn.
have?
Hold on, Vaughn. Who? Joe Montana?
Yeah.
4.
How many does Tom Brady have? 10. It ain't even a comparison.
So, but if that's your number one criteria as being the overall great, so that's your number one. Okay, but there's others. There are other criterias, Vaughn. That's all. Because again, because somebody's got the all-time record doesn't mean anything. Do you think that LeBron is a better player than Michael Jordan?
That's a debate.